All right, this is some unfortunate news here on 2x2 Sports. Derrick Rose has left the Cavaliers organization, as Adrian Wojnarowski wrote in an ESPN article. Left the Cavaliers on Wednesday, league sources said. Rose's increasing frustration with injuries is causing him to question his desire to continue playing. The mental toll from a series of significant injuries that have diminished the production of the youngest NBA MVP in history have played a part in the personal soul-searching on Rose's future, league sources said. And then here is what he is pointing towards: the rash and laundry list of injuries that, again, have plagued Derrick Rose's career and have stripped us of a guy who could have redefined the entire position, really. So starting in 2013, he had a sore right hamstring. In 2013 as well, right knee surgery. I mean, the list goes on and on. Left ankle sprain, sprained ankle, strained left hamstring, illness, left knee soreness, torn right meniscus, orbital fracture, sprained left ankle, right hamstring tendonitis. I'm making it a point, by the way, to continue to read all of these because that is how devastating these have been. Sprained knee, sore leg, right hamstring tendonitis, left abductor strain, sore elbow, back strain, back spasm, strained left ankle, right foot injury, torn meniscus, sprained ankle, left ankle discomfort. Thank you to NBA.com for that. So it has been a rash of injuries, and it absolutely sucks. The one thing that I will point towards, am I saying that this would have changed the entire outcome of Derrick Rose's future? Potentially. The one thing that he did not do, and I said this back in the day, and I was hated for it, and I will continue to be hated for it again, but the one thing that he did not do was finish his rehabilitation because he did not want to play. The doctors were like, you just got to go. You just got to go. You got to get over the mental hurdle. We are done here. Like, surgery is over. Rehab is over. Everything is good. But the final stage of rehab is that you need to go suit up for the Bulls. You got to.
But physically, all these things are done and fine.
Everything was fine. They cleared him. He refused to play, and then he refused to play again. So now you're not following the doctor's orders while also criticizing the team for not making good enough moves and not wanting to welcome a rebuild, because clearly once he did tear his ACL, the window closed. It closed shut completely. So that is the one thing that I always point towards. But if this is the end for Derrick Rose, how will we remember him, and what do you think about him taking time?
It's exactly. Sadly, I think, because this is the way sports fanfare is, he's going to be remembered for, again, not coming back after all things were done and settled. He's considered an injury prone. Oh, this guy whined and cried. I remember there was the issue whether or not he was going to I think there was a point when he wasn't going to get the knee surgery or get it. And if he did, it would eliminate all the cushioning between the joint in his knee.
I think that was cartilage surgery that he opted to have instead of not having it, and then he was pissed about the recovery time.
Yeah, because then if he had it, he could come back sooner, but then coming back sooner means later in life, he's gonna have nothing in between those two points of his knee, and it'd be extremely painful and just uncomfortable. So he was thinking more to the future, and people thought, hey, you're getting paid this many millions of dollars a year, get the fucking surgery and come back as soon as possible.
Right.
Fuck when you're 45 years old.
Right.
And so
and he was criticized for that, just to add on to what Jayar said, because he said he didn't want to be in meetings or watch his son graduate from high school and college and have to limp around.
Exactly. So, and I was on his side with that. So I mean, because this is part of the game. When guys have by the way, that list of injuries, I don't think that's very uncommon. I think you'll ask the majority of NBA guys who have any kind of a extended career. Look at Kobe, look at Iverson.
I understand with the discomfort, but the meniscuses
right,
and the
exactly.
ACLs.
There was still a lot of those, but I mean, I get the point of listing all of them because that's a normal thing, which maybe goes to why this will be his legacy, because a lot of guys deal with these kinds of injuries, except for like the torn meniscus and then the ACLs, and then when it's a sprained ankle and a right leg soreness, hey man, that's just a Tuesday. You know, it's gonna happen, dude.
Totally.
So, but with that on top of all those other things, and every guy's different. That's hard to do.
Right.
Come back from one major injury.
So when you, it's different for me because, again, being from that area of Illinois, you grew up on Derrick Rose. I saw him beat the crap out of our high school team, not state championship, but when our basketball team went downstate, he was doing 360 dunks and windmills in the game. Like, it was incredible to watch. But from an outsider's perspective, I mean, I personally have my gripes about the rehabilitation not finishing, us and also him being stripped of what we thought was going to be a Hall of Fame career, and it just isn't. He will be remembered more so in like the Brandon Roy camp, obviously better than Brandon Roy, but we never got to see the best consistently out of these guys.
It was like
he won the
hometown
MVP,
kid.
but we were just stripped of it.
Yeah, the hometown kid, that added to it. So then the hometown members, as you said, seeing him kick everybody's ass in high school and then end up playing for the home team, you're expecting this, oh my gosh, this is gonna be awesome. But an explosive play like that, this is the type of player he was, and I compared him most to Russell Westbrook, a guard that goes in a lane and looks like he shot out of a cannon.
Right.
So that is high impact type of stuff, and this type of things can happen. I was worried about Westbrook earlier in his career. I was like, oh, the MVP season last year.
With the Patrick Beverly injury in the playoffs, and the torn ACL.
Last year in the MVP season, I was like, he's gonna have to do so much to reach this milestone. I'm worried about what can happen.
Right, you don't know if their bodies can keep up with how aggressive they are.
So
when
what
they
I
play
think the difference is, look how hard-headed it seems. Nobody, I don't know Russell Westbrook, but he seems like I saw him kick our ass from UCLA.
UCLA, yeah. Wasn't Kevin Love on that team too?
Yeah,
I think they shared
together.
a year.
They did.
Yeah.
He seems like a stubborn asshole, and that's in a good best way possible. In this type of thing, your mentality has to be so stubborn that you're gonna go through any of that, and who cares?
Right.
I think maybe Derrick Rose has a different mentality. He's like, man, I'm thinking about later.
He is.
And it's hard to come back when it's your mindset.
He's made over $100 million, so it's not like we're so sad from a bankroll perspective. But via Business Insider, if he were to retire, Derrick Rose, he would leave $80 million on the table in his deal with Adidas. That's according to ESPN. He signed a 13-year, $185 million deal in 2012, but the brand is protected if Rose were to retire. Here's my last gripe, and then we'll move forward. It's that his brother, Reggie Rose, has mismanaged this entire situation. This is something that a lot of people outside of Chicago don't necessarily know or are not aware of. Him and BJ Armstrong managing Derrick Rose, giving him these subtle little takes on what to do, creating a divide between Gar Forman and John Paxson, the Bulls, and the Derrick Rose camp has been atrocious for this entire relationship, where Charles Barkley actually even said this on NBA on TNT. Take a look.
He makes the players around him better. His brother needs to shut the hell up too, number one.
Oh, what is Amen to that?
Listen, man, I'm going to make one of the rules. When I'm king of the world, it's never going to happen. Hey, man, we don't care about your mom, your dad, your brothers and sisters. Stop tweeting. As Herm Edwards say, don't push sin. Nobody care what you think. If a reporter calls you, he wants you to say something bad about somebody else. So don't be a damn idiot. Stop tweeting about coaches and players and stuff. Let the famous person be famous. You just shut the hell up.
So this was a thing in Chicago, and Charles Barkley hit the nail on the head, but this was a distraction from the start. Even when he was at Simeon, Reggie Rose was always, it was like their little brother always peeking over. It's like your little brother always trying to hang out with you when you're with your friends at your house. Yeah. Like he's always just coming around and trying to grab attention all the time. And one media personality even wrote this, which I thought was perfect. Reggie Rose is a clown. Under the guise of brotherly love to aggrandize himself after a failed career as both player and coach that was marked by bizarre, immature behavior, Bulls officials have become increasingly frustrated by continued communication problems with Rose due to Reggie's invasive influence, with one source telling WSCR at CBS Radio in Chicago. It's like talking to a wall. It just came with the baggage of having Derrick Rose. Reggie Rose has always been this asshole that the Bulls have had to deal with. He is a horrible influence for Derrick. Derrick echoes a lot of what Reggie says and does, and unfortunately, this will always be the 1A to the one Derrick Rose, is that there was a problem, it created a divide, and that is what, along with injuries, eventually led to Derrick Rose leaving Chicago. I know this is like
one
foreign.
person. That's one of the things. You have to have the kind of relationship with your family that you go, hey, I love you, but you got to leave me alone. And
But
that's
that's
hard
tough.
to do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's tough. It's tough to do.
I can't wait to see this 30 for 30.
Sorry?
It's going to be a great 30 for 30.
Great 30 for 30.
Such a good one.
Yeah.
Ja'Cory, what if I told you? That's decent.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't giving a headline.
That
was it. What if I told you Derrick Rose's career was marred by a complete douchebag? 30 for 30, brother and douche. I think there's one more actually with Reggie Rose. He was kicked out of an AAU game, and then he pulled his team from that AAU game, and he gave a great quote. It's towards the bottom. He was speaking to Yahoo's Jeff Goodman. All right, I'll just read. Reggie and his brother Wayne both collected technical fouls for arguing with the officials, and then Reggie was booted after profanity-laced tirade. Reggie then instructed his players to leave the court with 10+ minutes left and more than 50 college coaches in the crowd. Always about him. When I questioned Reggie about his decision after the game, he was visibly upset. He said in yet another profanity-laced tirade. Shortly thereafter, Reggie had to be escorted out of the gym. There's the difference between...
When was this?
Oh, this was like 2013, I want to say. Wait, we might actually have the date. Can we throw that back up? I think the date might be in the top left corner. No, that's stupid TYT Sports logo. No, I
so
think
he's
it's
mad about what's going on with his
2013.
team on the floor. And
oh, and by the way, the name of his AAU team was the Derrick Rose All-Stars.
Not the Reggie Rose All-Stars.
No, of course not. It was Reggie. Have I made my case? I can't stand Reggie Rose. He's been a horrible influence on Derrick, and unfortunately, we were stripped of some of the best years of, again, as I prefaced the story, what would be a Hall of Fame career and also redefining the point guard position. Let us know your thoughts. Comment section below. Subscribe to TYT Sports. We'll see you soon.